Utility Board public meeting for August 17th, 2021 is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please. Jennifer?
Robert Carnahan.
Here.
John Foreman.
Present.
Julia Farah is absent. Ralph Miller.
Present.
Randy Niemeyer.
Present.
Colleen Sheehan. Here. Richard Sharp.
Here.
I am present. Rick Eberly.
Here.
David Austin.
Present. Thank you. New business, approval of the minutes for July 20, 2021. Motion to accept and waive the reading of the minutes.
So moved.
I'll second.
Ralph and then Colleen. Roll call, please, Jen.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan. Yes. Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes. Motion carries 6-0. Discussion, potential adjustment to the Lakedale Regional Waste District capital billing costs.
Mr. President, I would respectfully ask you to defer this to next month's meeting. I have had a chance to talk to Sue Hayes about this a few days ago, but I did receive a detailed email from her this morning, but it was while we were tied up in department head budget meetings, and I only got a chance to glance at it. So some of the numbers she came up with were different from
Sure.
the conversation she and I had. So I couldn't do it justice if I tried to explain it now. So I'd ask that you make a motion to defer that to next month's meeting.
Thank you. Motion by Bob,
I'll second.
second by Colleen.
Discussion.
In just go ahead, Randy.
Have you had any further conversations, Rick, with the folks from Lakedale about what we're working on?
No, I hadn't wanted to necessarily spring this on them, Randy, until I had maybe some solid information to go on. I just, again, the first conversation Sue and I had, it didn't appear to me like we needed to make any adjustments to the fees, but based on the numbers I just saw that she sent this morning, maybe we do, and I just don't want to get them.
Can I ask that as we kind of drill down on some numbers, let's be really transparent and proactive with those folks.
Right.
They're really good people.
They are.
Right?
Yeah.
They are folks that just want to make sure that they're a part of that conversation.
Right. Right. And I just don't want to give them conflicting information
Okay.
or confusing information, so,
Agreed.
yeah.
And we didn't call that meeting so we could raise the, okay. We got a motion and a second. Roll call, please, Jen.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan. Yes. Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes. Motion carries
Thank you.
6-0. Deferred to next month. Discussion, Lakeview Business Park water recapture agreement.
Mr. President, we've gotten an application, as you know, from the developer for a recapture agreement. Some information's been shared with Neil by their engineer, Jack Hulls. They've identified a cost of the off-site water main, I believe, and a recapture area, a benefited area. I'm not certain if Neil has had a chance to see the numbers and whether he agrees with the benefited area. Those were the things that I wanted to look at more closely. Is the benefited area identified correctly, and are the numbers identified correctly? And Jack essentially resent the information that he had sent a few weeks ago, Neil, and I'm not sure. Do you have any comments on what he has provided?
Yeah, in terms of cost, they seem reasonable, fair, and with market conditions. Regarding the area served and benefited, there was an acreage, but no defined boundary of that area. So there's no reasonable assessment that can be made on that. But in terms of the cost of the main extending from 141st near the middle school up to the southeast corner of their property, they do seem reasonable.
And what is the path of that main?
It essentially comes north of 141st. There's a zigzag jog to the west side of the, I believe that's the Kretz property, if memory serves, and that runs up an easement that's currently in possession of the town's control that goes all the way up to the southeast corner of the CLBD property.
Gotcha.
Right. So I would say in terms of the costs, they're reasonable in terms of the area served. Probably some more investigation or submittals from the developer would be prudent, and then those could be reviewed on a staff level with yourself, Rick, and town attorney.
While you're reviewing these things and looking at this particular project, I think that this begs for us to incorporate this into a larger policy discussion, because we're going to have more of these, whether it be sewer or water or storm drainage or other sorts of partnerships. They're going to come up as the 41 corridor develops. And we all kind of know from looking to the north, once the momentum starts, it's going to start filling in pretty fast.
And yeah, that's a great point.
So
And it'll be easier for our staff to have.
Right, if we can put together some policy objectives, you know, not saying that it needs to hold up this project at all, or the agreement with these folks, but make sure that we're thinking in that mindset as we're working on these things and putting the details together.
Well, I think that's
What
what Dave's
is
doing.
something that's applicable to multiple projects? What are things that we can utilize in our toolbox so that when developers come and are interested in partnering with us, that we're prepared, that there's no surprises on this?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Randy, I would contemplate ultimately at the end of our dialogue and review of this, there'll be a template.
Okay.
A template format, so the staff, at staff level and meeting with the developer applicant is a starting place. This statute also needs to be reviewed. So
Okay.
that we're statutorily compliant and consistent.
Absolutely.
So,
Very good. Thanks, Dave. Anything else from
Do we have to pay attention to statutes? The president has
no,
made it clear that with the eviction moratorium, that the Constitution doesn't matter, so.
That's right.
Statutes.
We know.
Right?
So this item was not on the agenda expecting any action,
Okay.
Mr. President. This
Okay.
was just simply a
discussion item?
discussion.
Which we just did? Okay.
Right,
Good.
okay.
Very good.
We can certainly place it on the next agenda and hope that we dial in that benefited area more. It may be accurate, I don't know whether it is or isn't.
And I look forward to seeing that template so we can really get to work on some policies
Yep.
here.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it too.
Okay, good. Item 4, discussion, Parish and Havenwood Wellhead Protection Plan Phase 2 approval.
I think, Tim, that was just to let the utility board know that wellhead protection plan had been accepted.
Yeah, it was just finally officially approved, so we got notice that that was done. So
Okay.
just sharing that joyous occasion with you.
Yes, yeah.
Again, no action required.
August 4th, 2021 it happened, according to the letter. It was a complimentary letter from what Brian
Very
did
good
and
to
everything
see,
else.
very
yeah.
good to see that it was accepted and approved, because it's been painstaking to get there, so.
Yeah, but we're there. Very good.
So we need to accept it and.
Did you have to do anything with it, or?
I wasn't looking for any action, just
Okay.
just something to let you know it occurred.
I think
Okay.
it's already happened.
Very
Yep.
good.
Moving on to written reports, fund report from our clerk treasurer, Jennifer.
The cash and expenditure reports were previously sent out to you all. At this time, we're still working through quite a few things. You know, it's budget season and state board has begun their examination, so
Good.
now my office is busy with that.
Did you thank them for coming in during budget time?
Well, technically, I haven't gotten to have my fun discussion with them. They will not be in person until Thursday, but they have begun their work remotely, which really means my work has grown tenfold because they want this report and that report, so.
Okay,
Fun time.
should be fun, yeah?
If anybody has any questions for me, you know
I'm
where to
surprised
find
the governor
me.
hasn't put down a mask now.
Well, good luck.
Thank you. I'm gonna need it.
Good luck, you will not need it, but And the cash account looks very good, Jennifer, thank you. Consultant and staff reports, engineer, Neese Engineering.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the West Side Sanitary Sewer Interceptor, items 1 and 2, Project 1's proceeding in terms of the updates, the IDEM permit, and the acquisition of the final parcel. Project 2, we're working through the design of that and looking at some challenges that we have regarding some septics along Klein Avenue. I don't want to get into the weeds on it, but we do have options that we can look at. The figure 5 from the report of the West Side Sanitary Sewer Project 2 phasing initial report that we may have to or have opportunities to be able to move the sewer slightly west of Klein Avenue that would positively impact some of those properties that have septics in an area that would make it challenging for us to acquire easements. And I'm working with Dave's office on that and the appraisers as well. The Project 3, the East Side Sanitary Sewer, that is out. I've had contact with a few contractors. Those will be submitted prior to your next utility board meeting with the RFPs. We'll take those under advisement on the staff level, review them, and make recommendations to you at your next meeting for not only the manhole, but the sanitary sewer rehabilitation on that east side of the Morris interceptor that comes from lift station 3, eventually up to essentially 133rd and Morris.
Mr. Chairman, can I
Yes,
interrupt real quick? So, on the west side, I believe there's some opportunities through some committee discussions we've had here with developers who are interested in building on the west side but have run into the sewer capacity issue to partner with some private interests on the portion of the project that is furthest to the west moving towards the east. Is there a feasible mechanism, and I know that part of this makes some policy discussion as well, but looking at creating kind of like when you engineer like one of these big span bridges and it meets in the middle perfectly, right? So starting the project on 2 different ends and bringing it together. One side basically being done with private partners, the other side being all public, but with public management, the public specs, everything would go through the town and through you from an engineer standpoint, but finding an opportunity to reduce our cost, our cash outlay on the project through some strategic partnerships with some people who have expressed some interest in working with us to move the timeline up, expedite the process a little bit, capitalize on some momentum.
Yeah.
Is this something that we can look at?
Absolutely.
Okay, because we've had Rick and I have had some discussions with some people that have expressed interest in working with us on that, being a part of our infrastructure development, rather than just building homes, collecting bags of money and leaving, actually investing in the community.
Sure.
Which has been a delightful conversations to have with developers. So I want to make sure that this is something that we put on the front of this as we're developing specs going out for RFPs. So just for my own use, phase 1, what parts of the map does that encompass?
That essentially encompasses from the EQ basins to 159th and Klein.
Phase 2.
Phase 2 is from
Almost to
that.
the tracks, really.
Yeah, just slightly west of the tracks, correct. And then phase 2, project 2, is that same location up through Preston to 155th to the southeast corner of the town-owned parcel, that 110 acres that you have.
Okay, what about phase 3?
Thank you.
Or project
Well,
3?
phase 3 is what you're calling, how to get that area to connect with phase 2.
Fair enough.
The north side of our 114 acres.
Yeah.
So phase 3 is kind of going out to 41?
Yeah, it's heading west to Parrish, north to 151st, and then going west from that direction. And that was as part of the feasibility study, depending on how development happens, you can not only go north and west, but south and west as well. But if you find that development happening in a northwest fashion, we've looked at the elevations, the challenges, the opportunities, spring.
So in my brain, Neil, what I'm picturing here is working with a partnership situation on the third phase.
Sure.
The town working on the first phase and then the two coming together in the middle. Right, that's kind of just thinking out loud here. And in the conversations that Rick and I had with a couple of developers, they seem to be interested in partnering on that. And I think there's money to be saved there. I think there's time to be saved. We all know that private business does things a heck of a lot more efficient than government. So anything that we can do in that respect that's going to save our ratepayers some cash on the back end, I think is a good thing. So if you could get together with Rick to kind of discuss more detail
Sure.
on that, I think we need to get a meeting together of those interested parties in a committee fashion so we can kind of lay an outline together of seeing what the feasibility, seeing what each party would need to do from a technical standpoint, but then we would need to internally here work on some policy objectives that manage and govern that.
Neil, I have a question.
Yes.
You're saying that if you went from the 114 acres we own straight north on Parish, it's not ideal because of the dip in elevation? Because we already have a lift station there, don't we?
Well, that's significantly north of 151st, that's
Right.
lift station 11.
Yes.
That's essentially the northeast corner of Lindsway/Ledstone
Right.
area.
And is that pumping it back to the north to go east right now?
That pumps it to the north to 141st over to the Lowerman intersection.
Okay.
And one of the portions of that feasibility analysis was to extend that main down 151st up along the west side of Lindsway. Now, you're going to have to acquire easements
Right.
through there, and additionally, all the way up to 141st to extend that 18-inch sanitary sewer to capture not only the Rose Gardens, lift station 11, which services essentially Lindsway, but intercept a portion of Lindsway through gravity.
Right.
Let gravity be your
But if
friend.
some of those easements are owned by developers who are partnering with us, that makes that process one heck of a lot cheaper and easier.
Absolutely, and Rick and I have had a meeting with one of those developers and let them know right off the front, you're going to need to dedicate easements as part of your development, specifically the Hawkinson.
And I think if they're a part of that discussion, not just from, okay, the town's doing this, but hey, you're building some, we're all working together to put the pipe in the ground and dig the holes. And there's some benefit for them, for the town, for everybody. I think they'll be motivated to move pretty quickly.
No doubt about it.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt your report. I just didn't want that to go any further without discussing those meetings that Rick and I had with a couple of development interests.
Very good, thank you.
SSES, we have received the completion of the videotapes that have been prepared by the wastewater and public works department. Those are under review, and we'll continue on that project for item 4. The Utopia subdivision water main replacement project, public works, the storm department, water and wastewater have been coordinating, and I believe we have a meeting on that tomorrow or Thursday to get those updates to be prepared for bidding documents as part of the rate case that you have as part of the IURC to replace the water main in Utopia subdivision. Item 6 for risk and resilience, that item is complete. However, by the end of the year, we're required to submit a emergency response plan, and that is on task, on schedule, and that will be submitted through your town manager, sent to EPA, and available through his office should you guys choose to review that.
Okay.
Item 7 is an item we discussed at the last meeting, and that is looking at similar areas to what Randy just discussed, is utility service areas generally west of town. And what we looked at is the Hawkinson Farm, and essentially everything west of Centennial north and west of the middle school to the corporate limits and a quarter mile additionally east of there up to Birchwood. And that encompasses about 621 acres, and that's what we would look at as the short and near-term study areas that would be a beneficial opportunity for not only water but sanitary as well. Those areas further south of there, those are already encompassed in the West Side Sanitary Sewer Interceptor study area. So this would specifically be having Public Works and the wastewater department install meters, look at the capacities as we're seeing additional development on 137, 141st, the Lowry Interceptor, pulling the data from lift station 1, and which you have with the Omni site, which we're able to access on a reasonable basis for a monthly report. But what you're able to see is how the development that you've seen in the past several years relate to what we had projected back when Rose Garden came in, because that was initially the area that was looked at in terms of capacity limitations. So that's what we reviewed at the last utility staff level committee, and that's what's recommended for consideration if you guys want to move forward to that quarter mile west of the corporate limit, west of 41, essentially centered on sections 20, 29, and 32 on the map.
Very good.
I think that's good. It matches up with our US 41 corridor planning update.
Yes.
You know, and one of the things we discussed at length in those discussions was the need for a real detailed approach to our utility expansion along that corridor, because while we have ideas, we need to have really some guiding documents and some plans in place that map that out.
And that's a great point, and David just mentioned that. That's exactly the boundary that we looked at back in 2017 regarding that additional area for consideration that was part of the Ileana. And what you end up seeing is the further west you go, topography is not your friend. The West Side Interceptor is using topography for gravity, and the further west you go, I mean, you can go to the state line, but you start looking at the West Creek tributary area, and you start looking at more pump stations, additional pumping stations, and you know, I believe you have 27 pump stations now. I think you have enough, but I think this is a reasonable area that you can consider, with taking no action tonight, but in terms of providing, Rick gives direction to the Public Works and the wastewater department to install those meters, and then we'll coordinate with them on a weekly basis to read those.
And as we're developing things in that planning area, I think that looking at, from a water standpoint, again, fracture trace analysis in every possible developable parcel as a matter of policy, putting an X on the map, figuring out how to source it, how to transmit it, how to loop it. Water is, as we see out west, right? Arizona, Nevada, California. Without water, all your plans, all your development, all your economics are dead. Farmers in Arizona right now are facing 25% cuts to their water, which means that a large portion of livestock farms that have been developed out there are going to be gone.
Yeah, and we've had this conversation with not only Peerless, and they have limitations right now because everyone's so busy.
And everyone's tapped out.
What
as
was
well.
Peerless doing in Hanover?
Hanover,
Tim, do you know? I think a Peerless truck in Hanover drilling.
Yeah, there was a big well drill right there.
What are they doing?
which one?
Like the new...
High
High school and middle school?
High school.
Oh, at the high school. I would imagine it's probably irrigation,
Yeah, it's
but
probably.
I'm not necessarily sure.
I didn't know anything about it until I saw it. It seems
It was on the practice fields. I think it's on the practice.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And the new, across some Shillings.
But I just wanted to mention
Caught me
that
by surprise.
we need to start putting X's on the maps as it relates to water sourcing, because we don't want to be tapping out individual aquifers too much, you know. We want to be able to kind of spread this thing out from a source standpoint so we're balanced and we're not drying up everybody's wells.
Absolutely. That's the name of the game.
To be sure.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Director of Operations, Operation and Maintenance Report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We did, Pertano and Lennar did get, finally got that water loop completed
Okay.
from the south side of Lennar through under the ditch, through the woods, and connected to Ledgestone. So, the people in Ledgestone were without water for 4 or 5 hours on Monday, but, that was a big step in creating what we're always trying to do and making that big loop around there to service those places from multiple places. So that was a good thing to be done. So it is working, it's done, it's back online, and everything is good. So step in a good direction.
Yeah.
That's about all I have, unless you guys have any questions.
So when we do that, do we just notify put a
Yeah, we
sticker on their door?
notified the people in Ledgestone and Lynn's Way that the original plan was to turn it off Friday at 10 o'clock. Something got messed up with the boring and they didn't get it through all the way on Friday, so they had to change it till Monday.
Gotcha.
But
Somebody asked me what was going on Monday.
we made a good effort
Wasn't
to try
sure.
to, Margaret posted it, they put it on Facebook, they informed the people.
Okay.
Still had a handful of people complaining that they didn't have water, but, I mean, there's no way to put a key in a 12-inch water line without shutting it off, so.
That makes sense.
It got done pretty quickly. We had a little bit of problem with shutting the water off on the morning of Monday because the valve was buried and it wouldn't shut off, so it turned into a little bit of a fiasco, but we got it.
But you guys did it yourself?
We had to just turn the water off. Pertano
Did the work.
did the tap, yeah.
Thank you.
Where are your sandals?
I did not have.
Talked about that as part of your work.
I was gonna get my nails painted to bring the flip flops out and have time to go to the.
Time short, isn't it, Tim? Time is short.
Next time, Tim, hopefully we'll still have good weather and you can
I'll try to remember. Thank you.
get a pedicure, get your flip-flops on.
And Jennifer gets calls all day long, she told me about all these concerns like water and garbage.
Where's
Yep.
where's the main line in the office?
They do not stop, Bob, every day. They are coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. County Attorney?
Our consultants from Indianapolis are ready to go with the next filing of the petition to the IURC for the Redevelopment development charge. Looking for your authority tonight to authorize them to proceed, begin, get the clock going, get the petition on file, get our evidence filed, and get it processed. This is system development charge only.
Right.
Does that need to come in the form of
You need to make a motion, yeah. Go ahead,
So I
John.
would ask for that on the record.
I make a motion to amend the agenda first for consideration.
system development charge for
Yep.
water?
Yeah. Have a motion to.
I'll second that.
Thank you, John. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes. Motion carries 6-0.
So if I can dovetail off of what Dave said, part of the rate study that we did and the rate case was inclusive of, within a period of time, the town making its system development charge uniform or even close to uniform for the entire system. And that's something that's the next step on the map. And so that's what Dave is asking for, some authority to get our utility attorneys and our internal people working on to get that petition ready.
And for the folks in the audience, this is for new development, not existing.
And again, it gives us, from a town standpoint, if we have a good set of policies that allows for partnerships, as we've been talking about, a system development charge is one of those things that gives us more leverage in that discussion as ways to examine expansion of systems without always adding debt to a system. So it's utilizing economic partnerships to grow your system rather than just going and borrowing money and putting pipe in the ground.
Thank you, Randy.
I make a motion to direct the attorney to work with staff and legal counsel on preparing the petition for the system development charge to the IURC.
Motion by Randy. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Colleen. Roll call. Jennifer?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes. Motion carries 6-0.
Chairman, I would anticipate next week this filing will occur.
Great, thank
We'll
you.
get started.
Okay. Thank you, David.
Thank you, that's all I have.
JMOB report, maybe September now, possibly?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, yes, you might recall that initially we were hopeful of putting this meeting together on August 30th. That's not working out for all folks. So we're looking now at September 28th. That is a Tuesday night, 6 o'clock. I sent another email to the town manager yesterday. I've not heard back from him as to whether that's working for them or not. But that's the next tentative date, as long as those folks can make it.
Okay. Thank you, Rick. Do we have any public comment? Public comment? Please step up and...
One guy's saying this because my cane, I can talk kind of loud. I have two questions for is the person here tonight who tests our water for all the elements in there, like carcinogens, is that person here? No? Well, this is the second time since I lived here on the water bill, there's like 21 carcinogens, and we got fined. How much do we get fined? And did they ever test for them? Because they didn't test for them late. I have all the names of these chemical names. So who's supposed to test for that? And they evidently didn't. We got fined. How much? Around Monastery Wood, they're saying $250,000. No one said no. But my concern, as a medical person, am I drinking 21 chemicals in that well? Who's testing that?
The test was completed, it was turned in a day after the due date, so.
I'm sorry, say that again?
The test was completed, it was turned in a day after the deadline.
So what did that cost us?
We didn't get a fine, they were working on something, we got.
Oh, we didn't get fined?
We never did receive.
Okay, and then did you test for these 21 chemicals?
Yes, ma'am.
How come we don't get the report then, or where can we get it?
It's in there.
No, it's not. It just says what it can cause, liver cancer, you name it. It just says it wasn't tested for in the report I got with my water bill. It's the second time, too, since I lived here.
It did show where it was done in the paper, I don't know where.
I don't see
it
it.
was.
Second time it was late. And are all the wells tested for all these?
This was the same circumstance that it was missed.
Pardon?
It was a single incident that was just reported on 2 separate times.
Oh, 2019 and in 2020?
Yeah, it was the same incident that was missed, but it was.
It was missed?
Ma'am, could we have your name and address for the record, please?
Oh, okay, I'm Carol Kerr, 9900 West 129th Place, and it's Kerr.
Kerr. Okay, thank you.
So what you're trying to say is, we weren't fined, and you missed testing it twice?
It was
It's 19
one test reported twice that was missed.
But it says 2019 on that one page, and the other page I'm giving you is 2020. So two
I'll have him
different.
call you in the morning and explain it to you, no problem, but it was tested. And
Where can I find the results?
I can get them for you. I think they're in here. I'm pretty sure they're in this.
They're not in there, I looked. I mean, if you're getting your water bill and you got 21 possible carcinogens.
Ms.
in the
Kerr,
well.
we will get those for you, thank you.
Okay, the second question is, we share the water waste operating plant with Lowell, correct? We own it with Lowell?
Yes.
Okay, so now that they went to the Indiana American Water Company, bought them out, correct? How does that affect us?
Water is water, wastewater is completely separate.
Okay, so who
It
owns
will
it?
not affect us.
It won't affect us?
No,
No,
sewer treatment is what we are a joint board with Lowell. Water is different.
Okay, so that Indiana American Water Company does not own the wastewater plant?
No.
Okay.
They just bought the water.
Okay, they're known as the Illinois American Water Company in Illinois. Got a good nursing friend that I went to school with. Her bill tripled in home with Glenn. They're a rip-off company. They come from Germany, and they offer you everything. They did it to Gary. Gary would be a rich town right now, but one of their mayors in the past sold out to the Illinois American Water Company.
That's part of what we did, because they wanted to take over the east side water, and we took it over so that they wouldn't have control over it, so that people like you could come here and complain to us, and we would listen to you.
I don't really understand what you just said.
So what it was, Carol, is back in 2010, the town condemned the East Side Water Utility. There was 2 private utilities. Those utilities were going to sell to Indiana American, but the town took over those utilities prior to that sale being able to happen.
Oh, well, good.
So Cedar Lake had no intention of selling its water utility.
Just be aware of them, because my friend and I did the research.
We're
Her
aware.
water bill for one person is $350. She does get Lake Michigan water, and that was the pitch, and they ran the water all the way to Homer Glen, and she's like going bankrupt with other bills she has, but there's a lot of lawsuits going there in Homer Glen, but they give you a pitch. We're gonna replace all your lines, and I think in Lowell, they gave them 21 million. I even called there, who am I, nobody, but I called there and I said, listen to me, look into this, well, they're gonna replace all the pipes. That's what they did to Gary. Gary could be selling water now at Highland. I wondered when I lived in Highland for 20 years, why, when I went to a meeting on the water board, why do we get our water from Hammond, going under the expressways and railroads and you name it? We're kind of straight down from Gary. Well, we don't, because of the Indiana American Water Company. So,
Okay.
at least you're aware of them, I just...
Yeah, we are.
Yes, we are. Thanks, Carol, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if you can have them, direct them to the website too. There's many reports on our town website that have maybe what she's looking for. But if
Okay.
not, we can make sure it gets put online.
We'll get it put online?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Chief. Any other public comment? Public comment? This meeting is now adjourned. The next meeting is the joint meeting of the Planning Commission, RDC, and Town Council.
call this meeting to order. This is the Town Council Redevelopment Commission, Plan Commission Special Joint Public Meeting. We'll start with the pledge and a moment of silence. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father John, will you go ahead and deliver a prayer for us to start?
I don't think I can remember all the names.
It's okay. We're all here for the same purpose.
Let us pray. Almighty and eternal God, we ask you to send your Spirit to be among all those gathered for this meeting this night. Let their discussions, deliberations, and actions be to the benefit of the citizens of Cedar Lake and local communities. Lord, we come before you tonight praying for peace in our nation, praying for those leaving Afghanistan, for those recovering from the earthquake in Haiti. Lord, we ask that you especially bless our men and women of the armed forces doing the tasks with honor, duty, and integrity that they are given. We ask and pray all of this in Jesus' most holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father John. Okay, roll call.
I'll begin with Town Council. Robert Carnahan.
Here.
John Foreman.
Present.
Julie Rivera is absent. Ralph Miller.
Present.
Colleen Scheeben. Here. Richard Sharp.
Here.
Randy Niemeyer.
Present, we have a quorum of the council.
Redevelopment Commission. Nathan Vitt is absent. Eric Burnham.
Present.
Doug Spencer is absent. Jolie Kovach.
Here.
And also Randy Niemeyer.
Present, we have a quorum established of the RDC.
And Plan Commission. Jerry Wilkeny.
Here.
John Kapoor.
Present.
Chuck Becker.
Here.
Heather Dessauer. Present. I'm Jennifer Sandberg, Clerk Treasurer, and present. Rick Epperly, Town Manager.
Present.
David Austin, Town Attorney.
Present.
Plus you have the 3 town council members that are part of the plan commission.
Bob Carnahan?
Bob Carnahan, Rick Sharp, and John Foreman. Sorry, it wasn't listed.
Present.
A quorum is established of the Plan Commission as well. So we'll start with public comment on agenda items. Any public comment? Third call for public comment. Public comment's closed. New business, we have first the Redevelopment Commission approval, consideration of the approval of the declaratory resolution and plan amendment. Eric, you're the president of the RDC tonight in the absence of Nathan, so you can direct the reading of the resolution by its title only, if you so choose.
I'm fine.
It needs to be read into the
Which part has
record.
to be read, this one,
Yes.
this bold one?
You can direct somebody read it, you could read it yourself.
Who do I direct, the clerk? I don't have my glasses with me, so.
Just direct me to read it.
I'll direct you to read it. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Austin.
would you like, as well as the Plan Commission and Redevelopment Commission, a little background for this?
Please. I was going to read the resolution, then go to the background. So for the record, this is Resolution 2021-03, a resolution of the Town of Cedar Lake, Indiana Redevelopment Commission approving an amendment to the declaratory resolution and consolidated economic redevelopment plan for the consolidated Cedar Lake 133rd Avenue Economic Development Area and all matters related thereto. Dave.
As our town has grown, so is the need to consider the tools that the redevelopment statute brings.
The redevelopment district in this town were first established in 2000 with the 133rd Avenue West Side and 133rd Avenue East Side and Moore Street East Side allocation areas. They were established in exactly the same way that we're going through this tonight. There was review and assessment of where the town was at, what the needs were, what the growth patterns were, and what could be used out of the statute to assist, aid, facilitate, and enhance the development activities. The reason for that was to undo lack of growth and lack of improvement and enhance growth opportunities and betterments to this community. Generically, Indiana Code 36-7-14 and specifically 39 talk about segregating parcels in the community for exactly those purposes, to create growth, development, activity, and incentives. This has been amended over the years several times. The first time substantively was in approximately 2012 when the Strachan Van Tills project and improvement came along. The combination with the improvement to the True Value Hardware, the Lincoln Plaza property was not destroyed but was rebuilt and was the subject of a sub-allocation area designation inside the town's TIF district. What the town did at the request of Strachan Van Tills was carve out the parcel that was Lincoln Plaza, Strachan Van Tills grocery store and related, and created a sub-allocation whereby TIF increment was generated for debt service that was used to participate in the reconstruction of that property. That turned out to be very fortuitous for the town. What occurred in history was that the mother company of Strachan Van Tills went bankrupt. Central Grocers, I believe, was that entity. That bankruptcy resulted in the cessation of payments and processing of payments on bond issue obligations. Ultimately, that was discovered post-bankruptcy completion. Bankruptcy proceedings were commenced by this town, this council, Barnes and Thornburg, and our office, and it resulted in approximately $230,000 of return benefit, plus the circumstance where, because the bankruptcy closed the matter, no further payments were required. Approximately between $500,000 and $600,000 of benefit. That sub-allocation area still exists today, and one of the items that is being considered by you in this special meeting tonight, and ultimately a public hearing, is the combination or reconsolidation of that sub-allocation area to our main TIF district and allocation area, so that would all be part of the same and would be able to be used for all of the purposes the entirety of the TIF district is established for. So that's part one, that's consolidation. Part two pertains to the growth activities that have occurred as this council and predecessors thought would occur. You initiated in 2014 annexation, involuntary annexation proceedings, because you saw a vision of growth and expansion of the town. That initiative failed, it was defeated, and you just kept doing your stuff. Well, what happened as you kept doing your stuff, that is encouraging growth, providing access to town funds for commercial growth and development, improving the community's infrastructure, changing the face of our town. We've had a voluntary annexation of a commercial property on US Route 41, west side, south of the Hennon Sons property, approximately 28 acres. In addition to 5 acres that already existed in that location. A total of 33 acres are proposed for insertion and inclusion into the town's TIF district by connection. I did have a question, and I think, John, you asked me this tonight, why would we have those distributed together? Why would we just not do one or do it separate? Because connectivity brings greater weight to the use of funds and collection of funds. And it also prevents having multiple or numerous allocation areas or sub-allocation areas. Simpler accounting, simpler collection, simpler to understand, simpler to explain, simpler to market. It is proposed, and these resolutions contemplate that you'll add 33 acres of this to-be-developed parcel. They're out there moving earth right now, as a matter of fact, and propose 18 platted lots, 28 acres of prime commercial property, now in the town of Cedar Lake. Proposed by these documents to add that parcel in total to the TIF district and expand it so that it all connects. Now, very briefly, and Jill, thank you. I think you're responsible for this, and I appreciate that. If you want to know what the TIF district in this town is, these maps depict exactly what they are. The reason we show you this is so you can see how important and how strategic the location of allocation areas are. These allocation areas are connected to commercial growth and development pathways, such that the statute will work if development occurs. Here's what's going to happen if the Lakeview business complex that is now just annexed and being developed starts building structures and improvements. The base assessed valuation will be the ground dirt, terra firma. Everything that comes out of that ground will be more than base assessed valuation. It will be increased. AV it's called. And the TIF is calculated by the amount of the improvement over the base. So that when those buildings come out and the roofs go up, that's all going to be increment. That increment will be captured by our town for purposes of the redevelopment statute and for purposes of the continuing infrastructure needs of the community. And you can see this is all on commercial corridor. So I realize that was a couple of minutes, but that kind of summarizes 20 years in 7 minutes. I apologize for that.
That was excellent.
No,
Thank you.
thank you.
I've been lucky enough to have been on the redevelopment commission in 2009 and 2010, and the town council at the updated 2012, and I've seen so many of the infrastructure projects take place because of this TIF district, that without it, 133rd would probably still be a 2-lane road.
Without a doubt. Yeah, and RDC does a great job, so.
So it's much of the big infrastructure projects that you've seen around here have been supported by TIF, as well as the Lake Eco Restoration Project will be supported by TIF as well. So these are all things that come from this sort of effort and benefits the whole community.
All of the content of the resolutions before each of the 3 bodies tonight come from the redevelopment statute. They've been vetted by Barnes and Thornburg. We do not expect any issues or questions about Indiana Code 36.7, 14, 39, or any of its progeny. But I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Austin?
Yes, I have a question. Can I ask you?
Ma'am, this is not time for public comment.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Eric, you want to solicit a motion in a second on this resolution?
Yeah, does anyone do I need to make the motion?
No,
Or
you're
ask
the
for it?
chairman. Go ahead and ask for it.
So do I have a nominate resolution for development commission approval for declaration on?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2021-03.
I'll second.
Roll call vote.
Joey Kovach,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer,
Yes.
Eric Burnham.
Yes.
It carries 3-0.
Plan Commission would be next.
Okay, Jerry, you see where the resolution is for the Plan Commission? It's the last one. Okay,
Regarding,
the floor is yours.
regarding Cedar Lake, Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana Planning Commission Resolution Number 2021-03. Does anyone like to make a motion on this?
Jerry, could you please have that read into the record by its title?
You may want to go to the microphone, Jerry, just so it's official. On the record.
Resolution number 2021-03, a resolution of the Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana Plan Commission, approving a resolution of the Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana Redevelopment Commission, approving an amendment to the declaratory resolution and consolidated economic development plan for the consolidated Cedar Lake 133rd Avenue economic development area, and taking all other actions related thereto. Would anyone on the Planning Commission like to make a motion to approve or disapprove the resolution?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
A motion by Mr. Kapora, second by Heather Dessauer. Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Heather Dessauer. Yes. Chuck Becker,
Yes.
John Kapur,
Yes.
Jerry Wilson.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Next is item 3 is the Town Council approval of the declaratory resolution and plan amendment. This is Resolution 1287. Mr. Sharp, would you read by its title, please?
Resolution number 1287, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, approving an order of the Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana Plan Commission, approving a resolution of the Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana Redevelopment Commission, approving an amendment to the declaratory resolution and consolidated economic development plan for the consolidated Cedar Lake 133rd Avenue economic development area, and taking other actions related thereto.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. You've heard reading Resolution 1287. Is there a motion by the council to approve?
I would make a motion to approve the declaratory resolution and plan amendment, which is the allocation of the strike area as well as the 33 acres along the US 41 corridor.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Foreman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colin Sheehan,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Motion carries 7-0. 6-0, I'm sorry. Mr. Austin?
We will process this for a public hearing. The Redevelopment Commission will be conducting the same on its regular September monthly meeting schedule of September 20th. It'll be duly noticed in newspapers and in conformance with law, so it'll be on your agenda, Eric.
Thank you. Ma'am, if you have public comment at this time, feel free to ask your questions.
Oh, okay.
If you could come forward, state your name and address, please.
Oh, I wanted to put your map too, I like.
Okay, no problem. Your name and address for the record, please.
Lucy Griffin, 13704 Birch Street, Cedar Lake, Indiana.
Thank you.
Is this 41 here?
Yes, it is.
Okay, why are you acquiring all this land that wasn't in Cedar Lake? But when you got the builders in there, you acquired it, right?
The town did not acquire any land.
I know the town didn't, the builders did, but they got the permits. Now, why are you allowing all these builders to get permits when you can't take care of the old infrastructure we got?
Builders are allowed to acquire land like anybody else can acquire private property in a free country.
Right.
And most of that land that was acquired was already annexed into town. So
And you have to give permits out.
it's a free country. We can't keep people from building.
Well, but you don't have the infrastructure for it. So
The
how can you
infrastructure-
allow all these houses to be built without the proper infrastructure?
A house cannot be built if there's not available sewer, for wastewater, and there's not drainage taken care of, that's all part of our ordinances. So infrastructure is all considered as a part of their building permits.
Well, what about the old infrastructure? When are you gonna fix it?
We are as we speak. You see all these new roads that we're putting curbs and storm drains on? Slow but sure, we're trying to do just that, man. We're fixing the lift stations that are pumping into manholes that when there's a heavy surge, pollute and overflow, and all of those things are happening behind the scenes, and it's somewhat invisible to the average person that lives here, unless your street is the one that gets completely reconstructed.
Well, my street has to be reconstructed, but that West Creek goes into the lake. You know, the creek behind the Kiwanis Park there, it goes into the lake, and then the builders in Beacon put big sewers in, and now they got all their sewer thing running into the creek.
The flow that comes off of that field is the same exact amount of flow that happened prior to. And it's probably less because of the fact that we had a lot of farmers' pipes in the grounds for years and years. So
Yeah, there's
water
actually
from the
less
west side
runoff.
track was going direct in from all over the place.
Yeah, there's actually less runoff now because we require every new development to have stormwater detention or retention, and it manages the flow of runoff. So that creek that you're talking about, I believe, is what, Sleepy Hollow Ditch?
Yeah.
Right, so that's one of the tributaries that have been there for a long time.
I have it written down, but it runs all the way from right through to the lake, you know.
Right, actually, the water that goes in the lake is a lot cleaner.
And I really think we've got, bubbling out of the ground. There's no water going into the lake area, but this way, near, the park, I went there because they pushed all the asphalt and all the junk practically into the creek, and I'm wondering, I have to get a hold of it.
Excuse me, but I checked with Mr. Kubiak. He went over there and tried to look and find that water. He couldn't find it, and he said they didn't push dirt into the Sleepy Hollow ditch. Correct, Tim?
It's not Sleepy Hollow, it's called Creek.
It's Sleepy Hollow ditch.
Correct. Yeah, that was cleaned up, if anything. That was the whole point of doing what we were doing.
Well, they pushed all that dirt over the black fence that was, you know, the fence that protects the creek.
The black fence was messed up in a few spots, and they fixed it. They put it back up today.
And they knocked trees down.
Right, we made the back of that mowable, so when we were planting the grass and stuff there, that can be maintained up to the tree line.
Okay, it's not raining out, yet there's water running in the creek. Behind the park and that man's property that lives next to the park, bubbling out of the ground, because I went over there and I looked. Did you look at it, Mr. Tanner?
Tim went over there and looked at it,
Well,
and he said he couldn't find it.
By the bridge, or
What bridge?
the bridge that goes across the creek back there?
You put a bridge there?
Well, there is a bridge back there by that man's property, I'm assuming the farmhouse property?
Well,
I don't know where there's
I'm
a
talking
lot
about
of area
that,
back there.
there's water running there and it's not raining out, so where's the water coming from?
I don't know exactly where you're talking about, so I can't answer
And
your
it's
question.
bubbling.
Jerry, what do you think, man? Where's it coming from?
Huh?
Where's that water coming from?
I did not see it.
Tell us, John. I know the answer to
I
your question.
believe it's under the ground, what do you call that?
A spring?
Spring. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin.
There should be lots of springs here in Cedar Lake, you know. We don't have control over that. But when that comes up, people will notice it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And about that, I wish you would take care of our streets instead of building all this other stuff, all these businesses and things.
We're not building any of it.
Well, I know you're not. The people that own the businesses are building that.
Correct. Any other public comments?
Is this appropriate my problem, or isn't it appropriate now?
I was going to, when we get into the council meeting, Carol, I was gonna
Okay.
turn to you to talk about what you and I have been messaging about.
Okay, I guess it's just a question. With all this new building, how about, are we adding firemen and paramedics and giving them a nicer building?
And doing a new
I mean, the
firehouse.
library's beautiful, but I'm sorry, that firehouse is like from 1902. I mean, what are we doing for them?
We are actually in the process of working on identifying a project to build a new police and fire station.
Oh,
It's going to be an 8-figure job, so there's a lot of planning to go into that.
yeah, because
But right now, the fire station is being improved, the living quarters.
Oh,
And yes, since I was first on the council in 2011, we've gone from 14 police officers to how many now?
22.
22. When we brought the fire department in 2013, we had 6, and what do we have now?
10,
And how many are we gonna have once this,
we could have up to 12.
right? So,
I hope we're paying them enough, because I've heard, I kind of through the grapevine at Ariel's, no, that, they come in for experience, but they're not paid enough, so then they go to Chicago. I mean, a retired cop in Chicago gets $75,000. I've got 3 friends that are retired cops. So, I mean, I'm not saying you can't really compare Cedar Lake to Chicago, but,
and
you
there's
know,
a reason why
buildings on
people are
fire.
leaving Illinois
Pardon?
because of some of that stuff, so.
Carol, we recently saw a very hefty increase for the paramedic
good.
firefighters to be more competitive.
Yeah.
And as the sustainability plan gets going through the next few years, it's supposed to increase even more with people.
That'd be good, because I mean, when you're going to a burning building, it doesn't matter what town you're in.
Right.
Your life's on the line, whether you're a Chicago cop or a Cedar Lake police officer.
Right.
Yeah,
We agree with you
Because
100%.
people are considering that with all these homes going up, that these guys are gonna work harder.
Yep. And we're going through the budget
Eventually, they'll get a new
season.
fire station or another fire station, or what?
We're going through the planning and the budget season right now, Carol, and part of that is increasing staffing, increasing pay, and equipping. So, as far as building another fire station out in the unincorporated area, that would have to be in a partnership through a fire territory, which we've been unsuccessful to this point in forming one of those.
Okay, so then if you're the head of a department too, and you have more men, are you raising that person's pay? If you're the chief, or the assistant chief, or the police chief, are you compensating,
You're
them?
making.
I love it.
Are you guys
buying her dinner?
We didn't have my dinner.
They need to be to the White House.
Carol?
Look at their salary, by the way.
Carol.
I know what he makes.
Carol, I think you've got a Harry-O's dinner coming.
Absolutely, she
He knows I like him. But I'm just saying, you know, that would only be fair. We're not gonna, it's public knowledge. You can look up the salaries. And when you compare them to Chicago, it's not good.
But again, we can't compare Indiana, Illinois. There's a reason people are leaving Illinois is because some of those salaries and pensions are unsustainable. So we have to live within our budget, and we try to treat our,
But they're sustaining them, or there'd be a riot, let me tell you.
we're working hard to bring our salaries for our leadership up, and we have quite a bit over the last several years, so we'll continue to do that to the best of our ability.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thanks, Carol. Well, you guys are
She'll get a
really
ride home.
nice.
We gotta have a meeting with her later.
Yeah, you're gonna be escorting her back home, Bill?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your support.
Is there any other public comment for this joint meeting? Okay, there being none, the public comment is closed. The Town Council, Redevelopment Commission, Plan Commission, Special Joint Public Meetings closed. We'll move right to the, yes.
Before we go to that, could we get some signatures on resolutions while we,
Okay.
we're not gonna see the.
We'll take about a 5-minute recess here to get signatures, and then we'll start the Town Council meeting.
Thank you.
Well, they had to give it 3 little bangs there. We'll call the town council public meeting to order. We already had the Pledge of Allegiance and a prayer, so we'll start with our roll call.
Robert Carnahan.
Here.
John Foreman.
Present.
Ralph Miller.
Present.
Colleen Scheven. Here. Richard Sharp.
Here.
Randy Niemeyer.
Present.
I am present. Rick Everly.
Present.
David Austin.
Present.
The quorum is established. We have public comment on agenda items. Public comment on agenda items. Third call. Public comments closed. We'll start with the minutes of the June 28th, 2021 meeting, the Lakedale, Acarlia, Cedar Lake sewer meeting, and July 20th, 2021. Claims, all town funds, $417,188.90. Wastewater operating, $140,782.12. Water utility, $16,891.25. Stormwater, $9,739.60. And payroll for August 5th, 2021 of $294,706.29. We have the manual journal entries for July 1 through 31, 2021. An alcohol waiver for the town's Labor Day Festival on Sunday, September 5th, 2021. We have donations: Edwin C. Moody Jr. Memorial, Fraternal Order Police Lodge 174, donation of $1,000 for pepper ball equipment and training, and Aaron Shirkey, State Farm, donation of $800 for vehicle lockout tools and tourniquets. Is there a motion to accept and waive the reading of the minutes and accept the consent agenda as listed?
So moved.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Foreman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Miller. Questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven. Yes. Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Ordinances and resolutions, ordinance number 1390, amended and restated waterworks bond ordinance. Mr. Austin, this is not prepared, correct?
It is prepared, it is not ready for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there a motion by the council to defer?
Motion to defer ordinance number 1390.
Motion by Mr. Foreman, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Scheven. Questions or discussion? Roll call vote on deferral.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven. Yes. Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Item 2 is ordinance 1391, golf cart usage. Mr. Sharp, would you read by its title only, please?
Ordinance number 1391, an ordinance amending town ordinance number 1280 pertaining to golf cart usage regulations in the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, establishing penalties for violation thereof, repealing all ordinances or parts thereof in conflict herewith, and all other matters related thereto.
Thank you. Who would care to take the ball on this?
Want me to tell them?
Go ahead.
Mr. President, I approached Town Manager Everly. We had some issues related to the golf cart ordinance. In a nutshell, the golf cart ordinance allows golf carts to be on a roadway if the speed limit is less than 25 miles an hour posted. As you are all aware, on Lakeshore Drive, on the west side, on the east side of the lake, near the dollar store, we reposted that to a 25-mile-an-hour zone due to the amount of lake traffic or foot traffic, which then we started receiving golf carts on that road, and that road's really not meant for golf carts. It's got too much traffic going through there. So I asked Mr. Everly if he could present to you an amendment to this ordinance. Everything in this ordinance is identical with the exception of letter E. At the very bottom of letter E, we added, actually Mr. Austin added in there, or wherever the prohibition of the use of the golf carts is posted, so that we can post on Lakeshore Drive no golf carts allowed, which would allow us to enforce that on that particular area.
Good idea.
So that's just in that
That's the only reason, because the rest of the town is posted at 30, which makes it illegal to operate on those main roads, or greater speed limits. That's the only area in town that's a main drag that's got a posting of 25, which was done because of Bartlett-Walbert Park, because of the amount of foot traffic by the dollar store, Dairy Bell and all that, so we wanted to slow the speeds down. So unfortunately, by doing that, it opened up for people to drive their golf carts right down the road, and it's really not meant for that, so.
So did they drive down Morris to get
Yeah, how do they get
Drive
there?
down?
They're coming up from up the hill, so all the residents off 129th Avenue, because it's 25 basically from 133rd around the curve all the way to Hilltop. So they can drive from any one of those locations or try to get there. I can't tell you where they're coming from, but anywhere in MacArthur area you can get to.
But do they have turn signals and proper?
Yeah.
They still have further requirements in the ordinance that they have to maintain to be on those under 25-mile-an-hour zones. So they would have to have that, but our issue is that road is too congested to have golf carts on it, and would make it even worse.
And Mr. President, this language is flexible enough that to allow the police to post in other areas should we reduce speed limits on other main sections of roads for justified reasons, and we get down to 25 miles an hour or less. This allows that kind of flexibility to post those areas too. So we didn't want to Chief didn't want to just signal out Lakeshore Drive just in case we had this situation.
So we're gonna call it no golf cart zone, NGZ?
Yeah, it'll be posted.
NGCZ.
No golf cart zone, yeah.
You want to hear something even more hilarious, is I found areas that have golf cart laws, and they increase their speed limit in certain areas to 27 miles an hour, so that it wouldn't fall in the golf cart 25-mile-an-hour zone, which is, I literally found speed limit signs that said 27 miles an hour, so.
Wow.
But we just wanted to change this, so.
Mr. President,
Mr. Austin?
I can enforce this ordinance.
Yeah, I think this
Pretty simple.
this looks pretty common sense.
Yep.
Okay, you heard the reading of ordinance 1391, golf cart usage. Is there a motion to approve first reading? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve ordinance 1391, first reading.
Motion by Mr. Foreman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Questions or discussion? Roll call vote?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neiman?
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Is there a motion to suspend the rules to allow for second reading?
Mr. Chairman, I have one more question for the police chief. Do we have some close calls or something?
We had golf carts on the roadway that were actually congesting the traffic, which then we got phone calls on. So we went down there and told them they had to remove the golf carts, and they then pulled out the ordinance that we handed to them and said, no, it's 25 miles an hour, I can drive it on here. So then us, in reviewing the ordinance, realized that when we reduced the speed, we actually opened it up for that.
I see.
So it was, we just missed it.
Well, yeah, and if congestion builds, that's a danger for somebody to get injured. So with that being stated, Mr. Police Chief, thank you.
Is
I
there a
would
motion
like to
to suspend the rules? Thank you.
and make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Foreman, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Questions or discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neiman?
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Mr. Sharp, second reading by title only, please, ordinance 1391.
Ordinance number 1391, an ordinance amending town ordinance number 1280 pertaining to golf cart usage, regulations in the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, establishing penalties for violation thereof, repealing all ordinances or parts thereof in conflict herewith, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you. Second reading of ordinance 1391. Is there a motion to adopt?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Questions or discussion? Roll call vote?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven? Yes. Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neiman?
Yes, motion carries 6-0. BCA's plan, performance letter of credit, People's Bank. Mr. Everly?
I will defer to Ms. Murr.
Ms. Murr?
People's Bank's letter of credit is actually for the applicant Larson Danielson Construction Company Incorporated. They are building the People's Bank at 133rd and King. The letter of credit is in the amount reported at your plan commission meeting by your engineer, and the letter of credit has been reviewed by your attorney. It is a performance letter of credit in the amount of $30,053.10, dated August 21st August 9th of 2021, with an expiration of August 9th of 2022. This is for the public infrastructure they will be installing. As recommended, you approve.
Thank you. Is there a motion by the council on the recommendation of the planning director?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Miller, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Scheven, questions or discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neiman?
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Performance letter of credit, Centennial Villas, Phase 1. I'll go to you again.
This is a letter of credit for Centennial Villas for the public infrastructure they will be installing. Their final plat was approved in the amount of, and the public infrastructure dollar amount is $270,895.46. This is a 3-year performance letter of credit. It's recommended to approve.
Is there a motion based on the recommendation of the planning director for approval of the performance letter of credit for Centennial Villas Phase 1?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Form, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp, questions or discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neiman?
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Item 3 is performance letter of credit, Centennial Estates Phase 1. Ms. Murphy?
Similar to your previous one, this was for Centennial Estates Phase 1. The dollar amount is $284,711.71. Again, this is a 3-year performance letter of credit with an expiration of August 3rd, 2024, in the dollar amount as recommended by your town engineer and as the letter of credit was reviewed by your town attorney. Would be approval would be recommended.
Thank you. We have a recommendation from the planning director for approval of the performance letter of credit for the Centennial Estates Phase 1. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Everybody's shy tonight. Motion by Mr. Sharp. Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Second by Mr. Foreman. Questions or discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neiman?
Yes, motion carries 6-0.
Randy, you're just witnessing the quieter, gentler John Foreman, that's all.
I see that.
That happened.
About 5 minutes ago.
New business, item 1. New business, item 1 is agreement for the elimination of sewer utility billing, 13817 Moore Street. Ms. Sandberg.
Council, for the address 13817 Moore Street, it has been inspected. It was a demo. The owner has now requested to have the sewer eliminated. We've received the check counts and everything is in order.
Thank you. Is there a motion by the council on agreement of elimination of sewer utility billing for 13817?
I make a motion to eliminate the sewer utility billing at 13817 Morse.
Motion by Mr. Foreman,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Scheven. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Randy Neiman.
Yes, motion carried 6-0. Item 2 is Labor Day Fest dash bugaboos. Ms. Sheehan.
So we are asking Bugaboos to run the beer garden, for us for Labor Day Fest, same as they're gonna do for Fireman's Ball, and they've agreed to do so. They will provide the insurance for it. I just wanted to bring it before the council and make sure everybody was okay with that one.
So they are gonna have the security and the fencing and all of that stuff is in order?
The fire department's leading all of it from the Fireman's Ball up for us to use.
Okay.
I've already talked to Chief Fisher, and he's arranged security for me.
Good.
And as I said, they will secure the insurance for it and what's needed.
Okay.
Great.
Is there a motion by the council for approval?
I make a motion for approval of the beer garden being supplied by Bugaboos for Labor Day Fest.
Motion by Mr. Foreman, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Miller, questions or discussion? So what are the proceeds of the beer garden going to?
Bugaboos can keep the proceeds on this one. They donate them for the Fireman's Ball. We actually got a grant through the
Offshore CBA.
Yeah, the offshore CDA, so we divided the money up and decided that we should have a Labor Day Fest,
Okay.
piggybacking with the Artist Guild.
Okay.
And so, we're actually allowing, Kelly Dykstra is working with me to allow a lot of the vendors from the
Farmers market?
farmers markets to come in free and set up, so we'll have food here, but they can make money, but we're not charging to use the
So
ground.
this is just basically, hey, come on and have a good time?
Come out and have a good time. We're gonna have horses and ponies for the kids for free, bounce houses
Great.
for free, water balloons, which I need to talk to Tim about. How, if we have a lot of water balloons, how do we go about cleanup?
Tim is hiding behind the highly paid chief of
I
fire
don't blame him, because I brought these couple thousand water balloons, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be a mess. So I don't know what to do about that, and in speaking with Tony,
They make equipment to vacuum that.
clean that up. And then in speaking with, Tony on the fire department, he was also hoping that the streets department, since we're using the tents and fences for a town event after they have the fireman's ball, that they would come take them down.
We usually
So-
do anyhow, so we're good.
Okay, awesome, thank you. My other question for possibly Chief Todd or Tim, are you, for the fireman's ball, are you getting additional, restroom facilities, porta pots and things?
I think they have some porta potties, yeah.
Okay, so you guys are doing that. I'm just wondering if I need to do that as well. I have a limited budget, so I
Yeah.
can see what I need to add. And what about garbage cans?
We work with the park, guy on the garbage cans.
They'll have those out for you.
We also
Okay.
did in the past grab some more garbage cans from street, or, Public Works,
Okay, so maybe I could
coordinate
work
that.
with somebody, yeah, Tim, or something to
There's
get that done.
quite a few people being here, huh?
Well, when you say free for all this stuff,
Yeah.
like,
We're providing three
I mean,
vans.
remember our last trunk or treat?
Well, that's true. That was a heck of a turnout.
And whenever something's free, we're gonna show up.
They don't have to buy the beer, they'll have to buy the food, but we're gonna have 3 vans, as far as I know.
Well, that Artist Guild is gonna be a great idea. I hope
So-
it's.
We'll have a free band too.
Kelly's got, a band that's gonna start from 2 to 5, then the Artist Guild is from 5 to 7, and I should know in the morning, I think I have a band from 7 to 10.
Wow, that'll be great.
Wow, this sounds like a heck of an event.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
hope it is, yeah.
And I believe that, Bob, I don't know if you know, I believe the chamber was contacted to ask your local restaurants if they would like to participate, and we weren't gonna charge them
I
rent.
was contacted by Charlie Caper of the chamber yesterday, and I didn't really know anything about this.
Yeah.
He didn't know anything about it.
Well, it's in the works, we're trying
Right,
to get it
right,
together.
so
First annual.
his comment to me was that with 2 weeks' notice, they don't know if anybody will be able to help, because everybody's shorthanded.
We weren't looking for help, we were offering for them to set up and sell their
They wanna
food
sell
or
their
sell
food,
their
yeah.
items. It
Right.
wasn't really.
We were
for
offering
help.
them free
But
space.
so far Kelly has told me as far as the farmer's market vendors, they're all very receptive and sound like a lot of them are gonna come.
That's good.
Yeah,
We just wanted to make sure that the local businesses were invited
Yeah, that they had an opportunity to set up a stall and not be charged.
and not be charged for it. And it'd be a free event for them also, that we
That
wouldn't
they
be charging
can
them.
make money, not just Bud Booze, but anybody, you know, if it really is one to sell the pizza, they don't have to pay it either.
nobody likes that, I think you were.
That's good.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we already voted on that, right?
No.
Roll.
Roll call then.
We have a motion.
Robert
I
Carnahan.
lost
Yes.
track.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Sheehan. Yes. Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries. Reports, town council.
Yeah.
We have ordinance for collection of fire response fees. This, I requested that the town manager include these two discussion items under town council reports. This is something that as we go into budget season, that we are needing to get dialed in. We had talked about these fees in the past for for collection of fire response. In reviewing my own insurance policies, whether it be my business, my trucks, or my personal, it all has fire response in it. So there's a certain amount that some of them may go up to $750, some of them are $500. But I think coming up with a reasonable way for us to collect what is allowable under insurance, so we're not double dipping off of our taxpayers, would be prudent and a way to help support the revenue streams. In speaking with our financial advisor, he agreed that these are things we need to consider as well from a sustainability standpoint of our budgets. So I'm asking that the fire chief and town attorney work together to dial in that ordinance so we can consider it prior to budget season and have numbers that we can incorporate into our budget.
Are communities that have this, having everybody, including residents, or just out-of-town residents? Like for car crashes?
And any call.
We have a lot of people
Any
that
call.
are not here, right? So-
Any call. It's not charging above their insurance policy limits.
Gotcha. Todd, is this what we've been kind of talking about for 5 years?
Yes and no. It's been modified a handful of times. Some other communities do itemized billing for fire response and car crash and rescues and stuff like that, where they bill all the way down to the shovel used. And we did discuss it at one point in time, but it was not accepted very well by the public, obviously, because there was some confusion on who would get charged for that. And we always only wanted to charge, non-residents, and for structure fires, people only charge what's in their actual insurance policy instead of anything above and beyond that. So, in dialogue with the attorney over the years, we've pretty much narrowed it down to what we should do for our community, what would be best, and that would be structure fire response only not to exceed what's in the actual insurance policy for the fire department, and then car crashes for out-of-town residents only, and that would be it. And then it'd be the same for the township that we cover. So you wouldn't receive a bill at all if you got in a crash in Cedar Lake in town, you're a resident. You wouldn't see anything from the fire department because it wouldn't be billable. But if you had a house fire and it's in your policy, we would request it because you're paying for it. The homeowner's actually paying for that extra cover.
How many homeowners know what their policy is?
Well, probably not a lot. I mean, if you look at it, it's pretty much in the fine print.
It's actually not even in the fine print, it's in the policy breakdown.
Right, okay.
Right on the front page.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
I haven't looked at one in a long time, especially my own.
Todd and I are working on this.
Okay.
We are, we have been.
We expect to produce something for you in the next meeting or two.
That'd be good because as part of these budget discussions, we want to identify any sort of revenue sources that we can that support our forward movement. Carol's requesting us to do better with our public safety, so we're looking for more revenue sources. Carol to support that.
I don't think that was a request.
That was an order. I think it's a direct order. So, no, these are both of these items are there for that reason. So ambulance fees, it's been several years since we've updated those, and it's time for us to dig into that and get that updated as well. Not to gouge citizens by any means, but there are certain allowances that are updated in insurance, with insurances, so I think we need to match those allowances as well.
Mr. President,
Yes.
fees, I'll remind everybody, as I will remind Todd when we talk about this, they have to be based upon cost. They have to have a rational relationship to the expenditure of funds for the service provided. We're not permitted to put a margin on it for profit making or for...
I don't think there's any doubt that our costs have increased.
I disagree with that. I don't have any doubt about that. I'm going to hear that probably a lot from Todd over the next short period of time.
Yes, you two are going to be working intimately on both of these.
No.
You'll be in his office, he'll be in your office, there'll be coffee, there'll be coffee cake, things like that, right?
Don't be jealous.
I won't be.
Just want to make sure.
No worries.
Just being you, Dave.
So if we could get both of these things prepared for action in the near future?
Mr. President, if I might finish, joviality aside, just because it happens in Crown Point or Timbuktu or somewhere doesn't mean that's the cost for the service provided by our professionals.
I understand.
So you're not going to get a cut and paste that matches up to somebody that you might be familiar with because somebody said so.
I wouldn't expect that, Dave. I would expect nothing less than for you to dissect it in great detail.
It'll be done so it's right.
Yep.
That's what we're going to do, and I know he's gathering the data. I know he is. Again, we've been talking about this. So.
Okay, those were the two items that I requested. Bob, you have any reports?
No.
I have another couple of items.
Bob, the trees, Christmas trees.
Christmas trees, Steve Goldberg is looking to try and get the trees, and there may be a shortage, so there may be a price increase if he can get them. And John from Aaron Shirkey's State Farm is going to chair the Parade of Lights, Gene Everly Parade of Lights.
Thank you. So one item is I have been communicating with a resident of Lynn's Way subdivision about the pond, which is actually owned by Diamond Peak, that wasn't being maintained. She had sent me another question of when they can expect that to be maintained because it's already overgrown.
Okay, if that has not been taken care of as of today, Mr. President, I'll get back in touch with Michael Herbers from Diamond Peak, because he assured me that they would direct their mowing contractor to take care of that pond. He thought there might have been some confusion because we, the town, takes care of the mowing of the park next door, and evidently some of the residents around the pond have been mowing that area as well, so he thinks that their mowing contractor thought that the town was mowing the pond area, which I told him is not the case, so he said he would make sure his mowing contractor knows that they are to take care of mowing around that pond.
Yeah, she reached out to me yesterday, and I said I would get her an update on that, because she saw the town was out mowing the park yesterday. She said, are they going to mow the pond? I said, no, the town does not do that. We're not the mowing contractor for Diamond Peak. So just follow up if you could to make sure that that's done and it doesn't get overgrown. Another item was brought to me by Ms. Kerr, and I drove by the off of 129th, the entrance to Monastery Woods South, and noticed that the barricades were laid across the sidewalk, so the sidewalk was unusable at that intersection. They weren't standing up. They were actually laying down during the weekend, so they just left them there to store them, as well as leaving the sandbags and some of the other barricade structures in the middle of the parkway. So I was wondering if our construction contractors can do maybe a little better when they're
They did have them all stacked in the grass, and then we had a couple complaints from the residents that they were killing the grass, so I had them stack them in the sidewalk for the short time that, I mean, you can easily walk around them, but it was an effort to get them out of the way so they weren't killing the grass.
Could they store them
That's my
possibly in the parking lot there at the clubhouse, like in the corner?
Well, they can, but I mean, if we ask them to transport them and move them in and out every time, then there's just that added expense to, you know, we would have to be upfront with them in the beginning, but it takes 2 guys, you know, every day to come and, the crews actually set them up when they're working, but if you gotta have them pick them up and take them across the thing.
And let the grass die, we'll fix it when it's done, you know?
So when there's construction, that means our residents can't use their sidewalks anymore?
No, I'd say leave it in the grass.
It was a short little area of sidewalk, but, realistically, that area is under construction anyway, so I mean, where are you going with the sidewalk?
Well, I mean, they could be crossing to,
Right. I mean, and again,
Monastery,
there's
where's north?
plenty of places there to.
It's only a temporary thing, though, it's
Right.
construction.
And it was,
right?
I mean,
I wouldn't put it on the sidewalk, I'd put it.
the bad thing is that particular entrance, that grass and the landscaping is watered and nice, so I get the complaint of trying to not kill the grass, and I was the one that had to move them to the concrete, just to try to not kill the grass, because it was a good point, I mean.
so I noticed that there really hasn't been a lot of activity there either. What's going on with that project?
Tomorrow or Thursday, they're supposed to be coming in to do the final paving of that project.
Yeah, I think tomorrow, I thought the same thing this morning leaving town,
Yeah.
so I called Don about 7 AM and asked him that exact question. He thought that they should be out there.
Yeah.
Starting
Originally,
tomorrow.
they were gonna try to get out last Thursday and do the final paving. I'm not sure what set them back. They're still well within their contract limits, just so we understand that. But they also did, Tim, the backfilling of the curbs, along both sides of 129th. Well, I believe that was last week, Thursday or Friday. And then they were, from what I understood, it was, like John said, either tomorrow or the next day, they were planning on coming back in and to do the surface paving of the project.
Yeah, and if anyone's wondering why the curbs aren't all the way to 41, you may recall that we added putting curbs where they are late in the game, and that's all the money that we had. We went up to the max of what we could get from that community crossing grant, I believe, so that, I've had a bunch of people say, hey, how come they didn't finish the curbs? And I said, yeah, well, maybe someday, but right now we didn't have the money at this stage of the game. So we tied in what we could on the east side, so.
But they have been out doing the backfilling of the curbs and the seeding and the
Yeah, it looks
restoration
good.
and stuff. It's been not actual road pavement, but they have been out there getting all that little stuff done, so when the paving gets done, it'll be done.
So hopefully, within the next week or so, they shouldn't be worried about those barricades anyways at that point?
Right, the barricade should be gone within a week.
In Christopher Brooks' report, it says it's supposed to be completed by August 20th.
Yeah.
That's the substantial completion. Final completion is some date in September, Bob, it probably says that in there.
So after the substantial completion, is that when they're gonna remove the barricades?
Yeah, we could probably have them get those barricades. I don't really see the need for those barricades being there any longer now. So we can get that taken care of.
Okay.
If we gotta do it, we'll get them out of there tomorrow.
Hey, Randy, I also had one item. Jim Huntley suggested that we maybe put a basketball hoop up in Lindsay. He said there's a nice park there, it's a great spot, et cetera, so I'm not familiar with the park that much. He says it's quite a nice park, and
Big. It's a nice park.
it'd be a good place for a hoop, is what he said. He said a lot of kids there. You know, he just threw it out there, so I think that's something for who's ever on the park committee maybe to run with.
Well, why don't we get some prices on doing something like that and get it in front of the council for consideration?
It's a great idea by Jim Huntley.
Now, you remember some of the discussions we've had in some of
Oh,
the
boy.
meetings when we bring up basketball hoops?
Yep.
Do you get a whole
I
neighborhood to
tried
come out?
putting them
and
all
talk
over
about
the
all
place,
the
even
riffraff
Kiwanis
and
Park,
stuff?
once upon a time. I wanted basketball courts everywhere. Couldn't get it done. I apologize.
So
I'm not sure why.
There's been a
You
great,
ran on.
I love basketball. I love the park.
but,
I wanna know, why did you guys dump all the
Well, wait for
garbage?
public comment.
Lucy, when we get to public comment,
It's about the park.
right, when we get to public comment, you'll have an opportunity.
Okay. I mean, you just.
Any other council reports?
Would you explain to the public what we're going to try to do, I guess, in January, create another park board and would have a park director that would look after all these parks?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how we'll formulate the department, Bob, to say there'll be a park director necessarily, but we're looking to create a new park board with the authority a park board has. That's being discussed in our budget committee discussions right now on how to do that. So it's in the early process of it, but January 1, we're looking to have that up and running. So that board will have the ability to address some of these things.
Why can't you address them now?
That board will have the ability to address some of these things.
We gotta wait, I'll be dead by then. Don't forget, I'm 80 years old.
You're gonna live to 100.
No, baby.
Easy. So, yeah, Bob, that is something that's in the works right now. Our financial advisor is aware of it, and we're putting together the plan to make that happen. Any other council reports?
I have something. I would like to take the money that we got from selling the old pier and transfer it over to the lake enhancement fund that we have here at the town. What do we have to do in order to do that?
You would need some sort of ordinance, I would expect, because it is not easy to move money from fund to fund.
Dave, is that something?
Was it an amount of money that was receipted into the general fund?
Yeah.
And is the lake enhancement fund?
No. It's our fund here. It's the account that we set
I
up.
understand, I'm asking that, I don't care about.
No, I'm saying, we're not giving it to.
It's the lake fund, yes.
Yeah, it's the town.
It's our non-reverting.
Transfer by resolution between funds? Or is this an additional appropriation type item based upon the nature of what, or how it came in?
I have questions on this one because traditionally you use the resolution only when you're doing transfers within departments. In my mind, this really isn't an additional appropriation. This is, you're asking to take money that belongs in the general fund and move it completely to another fund. So I honestly...
Would this be a question for you to ask when the auditors come? Would that, I don't want us to get in trouble for doing anything.
I can ask, but I guarantee they won't render an opinion because it's State Board of Accounts.
Give you an answer. You won't put it in writing, but it'll give you an answer.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that complicated to me.
Yeah.
Well, the legality of it shouldn't be.
Well, originally...
Yeah, no, you gotta follow.
Well, originally, when we knew there was the sale of this pier, I did ask State Board of Accounts where it should be receipted into, and I was told the general fund.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah, you didn't wanna bring this up last meeting because Jen was out.
Because she wasn't here, yeah.
But we're trying not to get you in trouble, Jen.
Yeah.
I would very much appreciate it.
Yeah. No, just the easiest way, I'd like to get it moved to that line item.
And one of the things I am working on with Corby, because I understand the want to really build up that ecosystem. So after you and I spoke the last time, I pulled the ecosystem ordinance from when that fund was created. And it looks like that was initially the thought process, was that a little bit of seeded money was supposed to be moved
Like
every
15 grand a year.
15 grand a year, and we never have done it.
Well, no, that was your initial approval, it looks like. Back in 2016, there was an initial approval of 15,000, but when you read the ecosystem ordinance from creating that non-reverting fund, it looks like an annual, whether annual or 6 months, the clerk treasurer is supposed to provide a report. Looks like that report has not been done, so I brought in Corby to ask Corby how we can rectify this moving forward. That report should show you all the distributions that you have received into the CEDAT fund, and then look against expenditures, obligations, and then basically give you the opportunity of whether you wanted to move 10, 15, or 20% into that ecosystem fund. It would,
Yeah, I think we
it's supposed
used
to
a
lay out
lot for
options.
infrastructure and roads. 50% of that CEDAT money is allocated.
A portion of it is allocated to the 2015
Some bond.
bond
Yeah.
issue from some road
South Shore
improvements.
subdivision, I think, we did it. That's how we did South Shore.
Yep.
We relied on that.
Well, a portion of it, yeah.
Or, yeah, portion. So, yeah, if
So-
whatever we can do, if we can transfer some of that, it's all only gonna help us in the long run.
Exactly, so in my mind, I feel like that's a better starting point, is reanalyzing CEDAT, looking at what we can do with CEDAT, because I do believe the sustainability plan also looked at possibly a portion of CEDAT for the ecosystem.
Right.
So I mean, it looks like it
The
was already
original
started.
contemplation sustainability plan was looking at geodebt as a possibility, and I am wholly opposed to that, because I don't think the general taxpayer should be backing up a lake project that is not necessarily gonna benefit most of the town. So any geodebt should be used for things that benefit the
Yeah,
personal
and not to go
property
too
taxpayer.
far back in the past, but when the CEDAT money was being discussed, Visclosky went to all the cities and towns, asked all of them for a contribution, many of which,
Well, we had a
Ended
couple
up
fun
quite a
meetings
bit.
about that.
and we had some fun meetings with Visclosky, and he basically gave us the blessing that, hey, the fact that you're trying to clean the lake and you're using your money for the lake makes a heck of a lot of sense, and he seemed to believe in the fact that that was a better plan for us than the northern portion of the South Shore extension.
I don't
He may
know.
not admit it.
I say, I
But
I didn't get that feeling from him.
I got the feeling that,
No.
he,
I didn't get that feeling.
yeah.
Yeah, John, I got that
I
feeling.
didn't get the warm and fuzzies. But nonetheless, any other council reports?
No, sir.
So Jen, you're gonna work with Corby on getting together a strategy for that?
Yes,
Thank you.
and bring you back something.
That's good enough. Town attorney,
No report.
clerk treasurer?
Working on the budget, and now we have the examination by the State Board of Accounts, so my office will be extremely busy for the next little while.
Thank you. Town manager?
Couple of quick paving issues, Mr. President. 133rd and King project is wrapping up. We're hopeful of that being completed, substantially completed by potentially even this Friday. It's the poles for the stoplights are what we're waiting for, and last I knew they were on back order, but expected to be in, I think, even yet this week. 129th Avenue, we just talked about that one. We have a pre-construction meeting for the Fairbanks project this week. I believe it's Thursday. That project will be getting started here pretty quickly. There'll be some local road paving projects, like grind and overlay projects in 3 or 4 areas of town being done yet this summer. We're under a design for the Bartlett Wahlberg washrooms and pavilions. Tim and I have been discussing that with the architect, Nick Giorgio. The Parish Avenue and Vermillion road projects have been applied for CCMG monies for next year, so we're hopeful of getting 50/50 monies on those, and Parish Avenue will be getting some repair work done. Tim, maybe yet this week?
It's going on today. It started today.
Did it start today?
It's done today.
It's done.
It is done,
We
okay.
got Sorvin in the wrong way.
Did the alley get paved too?
50% of it was paved what I seen, but I'm pretty sure it's finished.
Anyway, it's just not a habit.
It was one layer.
Over the years, we've Carter Road.
That's it, Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you. Director of Operations,
I have nothing, thank you.
highly paid police chief?
Yeah, no doubt.
I'm gonna have some fun with this. Good.
Especially in budget season.
Oh, this is great. Perfect timing.
I agree. In your packet is the calls for the month of July, year-to-date. You see me, they had 1,350 calls for the month of July, brings our total up to 7,531 calls for the year. We issued 125 state citations, 25 were ordinance related. We issued 319 warnings, 14 were ordinance related. We had a total of 24 arrests, 66 charges filed, 34 misdemeanors, 8 felonies, for a total of 189 arrests for the year and a total of 333 charges.
Wow. Thank you.
We also no, that's a fire department letter, isn't it? Yeah. That's right, there it is. Okay, is that all you have, Chief?
Yep.
Well-compensated fire chief?
First of all, Billy,
Floor is yours.
I wouldn't put up with that. We need to set the record straight here pretty soon.
Well, he just said well compensated now.
Yes, he didn't say highly paid, so he already knows that. So obviously, the reports is pretty
Okay, fine, overpaid fire.
151 calls for you received a letter from the Florida Safety in reference to additional personnel for next year, and also looking for approval for writing the SAFER grant for 2 more the following year. And I'd like to follow up my report by saying I'd like to nominate Carol Kerr for Citizen of the Year for Cedar Lake for her outstanding valuation of her department heads and identification of the needs, so.
Duly noted, taken under advisement, all of that stuff.
Thank you, thank you.
So you're looking for an amendment to the agenda on this?
Yeah, if we could get that approval, that'd be fine, but I know that we're in budget time now, so it may be something we can look at, or...
I think it would be good, Chief, if we consider it, get the direction on it, and that way it can be planned long-term for our budget, rather than waiting to apply for it and...
And that letter, it also does state in there for 2 budgeted for next year, so as well, so it's not just for the SAFER grant.
Right, the grant would be for 2023.
Right, and then the 2 additional personnel will be for next year's budget. Is what the Public Safety Board put in that letter, so.
Well, I think
in order to help alleviate the overtime.
At the very least, if we approve this, it at least gives you the ability to apply for the grant.
Absolutely.
And plan for the 2 extra personnel.
Yep.
And if we find out in a budget that it's not possible, then we can always make those adjustments, but at least it gets the ball rolling on moving that conversation. Jen, you agree or disagree? You're looking at me.
I just want to make sure that everybody, as we move into the budget, just that we're all aware that there are still some, I just want to make, sorry, you're tripping me up. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that it's not in stone by this action there. That's the best way to say it.
This would basically be giving them the ability to write the grant, apply for it, and then to move forward with the consideration of 2 more people.
For next year, and then 2 in the grant, correct?
Right.
Yes, okay. If you read that, that's how it's listed.
Be a total of 4.
Right,
Yeah.
2 next year.
Right.
2 with the grant.
And we did have quite a discussion today about that with Corby as well in our meeting, and he's doing the legwork to see if it's sustainable.
Okay.
So Rick said that he would be waiting for a report back from him to see if that's possible.
So would the council amend the agenda for consideration of the request?
I make a motion to amend the agenda for the request.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Miller. Second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neiman?
Yes, motion carries 6-0. So just for clarification's sake, the item under consideration would be to give direction to the fire department to prepare the grant application for the SAFER grant for 2 officers for 2023, as well as for the consideration of 2 additional personnel for next year. Is Is there a motion by the council?
So moved as read into record.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Foreman, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan, questions or discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan?
Yes.
John Foreman?
Yes.
Ralph Miller?
Yes.
Colleen Scheven?
Yes.
Richard Sharp?
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer?
Yes, motion carries 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else, chief?
That's it.
Thank you. We have written communication, of building department report, Christopher Burke report. Let's turn to the building department report. 63. So we have through July, a total of 252 new residential permits issued, 1 commercial, alterations of 341, and 163 occupancies. Total residential and commercial value of $77,022,092, and overall value of the alterations of $26,624,781. So we are well on our way to eclipsing every record that's ever been set here, so. Yeah, it's incredible. Okay, anything highlight the Christopher Burke report, Mr. Everly?
I think we've touched on several of the things in my report, Mr. President, so
Okay.
I'll let it stand as issued.
We'll go to open public comment.
Yes.
Carol?
Yes, I have one. I disagree with Mr. Kubiak's assessment. In his office, I don't think he needs a raise, because his office will, give you a runaround, he'll never call you back. That is private property where all that crap was shown. And there's a guy named TJ or BJ, my neighbor took pictures of him, somebody from the Pair Cottages actually called him, some guy that used to be a fireman. He's on their town council. That's private property that we pay $140 a month assessments for. When you come into that south entrance, it's a median strip. There's evergreens, there's flowers that we have to pay for if they get damaged. Your comment, well, you know, if you ruin the grass,
Well, we can plant more grass.
you'll pay for it. No, that's a waste of money. And that's private property, and his TJ guy, wherever that guy was, he took those barricades and just threw them on all these evergreens. There's underground sprinklers, when they go on even now, they're all cattywampus because we have about 20 broken sandbags just laying all over. And when you talk to the union workers, my husband was a union worker, they make big bucks. They should have never had that there. They'll say, well, okay, do we own this area, Mr. Kubiak? Who owns all that stuff?
TCS.
They do. When you ask them, they say it's the towns. And the guy from the town working under you, that TJ kid, who was very disrespectful to a lot of the seniors, he wasn't going to do nothing until somebody called you. And you know somebody called you that day, and then he moved it off and he put it on the sidewalk, some of it. But some of it's still on the median. That's private property. How could you put something on private property? If you had a house with a little lot there, and I threw garbage on it, what would you think?
They did take this, they were reprimanded for putting the stuff on the bushes.
Just threw it, I mean, they didn't care.
And that was the union road worker guys.
No, I talked to the union road workers, and it was TJ, or what's his name?
TJ was a
I think TJ gets a road. TJ lost his job, I think. That's what I was
He was not any road worker.
TJ works for Christopher Burke Engineering. They're the engineering.
They tax a buck, they say that you own that stuff. Okay, then get the union workers tomorrow to move all their stuff, they have other equipment in the lot, you put it there, because that's private property. Do you agree?
No.
We own that property. The town owns that property? Then how come I pay $140 a month to maintain it? And I pay the water supply to it, at my dues.
It's still, that's the road right away, that's not the town, the subdivisions. It's not a private road.
Then we maintain that though, then you should maintain it. Maybe I should tell our association, you pay for the water, you pay for all the evergreens, you pay for the flowers. Is that what you should be doing? Then we shouldn't, is that right?
Correct. If we maintained it, it would just be, chances are gravel or grass. It would not be like it is.
But that was put in there by the contractor.
Right.
And we maintain it, we pay for anything that dies in there or
You do
anything.
maintain it and you take care of it, but it is the public right of way for that roadway.
You're positive of that, because I was told it was not.
Yeah, it is.
So you can throw anything on it, I
Well,
looked
and
at
again,
my window.
I can appreciate the beauty, it is nice, I mean, I was upset also that they would throw stuff on top of beautiful landscaping.
Why not? He said you could just replace it, the man over there, you know, you
I'm
kill it.
talking about grass,
It
Carol.
can be
More than
repaired,
grass.
but like you said, there's no sense of, that was just
It's been
careless.
there for 2 months, people working on that road.
Well, right
You know
now
what
it's on
They
the
come for
side.
2 hours and they leave.
Right.
They don't put up any barricades, they don't, and half the sandbags are busted.
I know.
We maintain a really nice area, to me, it's pristine. I lived in other
It's beautiful, and
associations.
again, it's going to be, it's at the end of its rope, it will be cleaned up here in the next week, and it'll be done, it'll be a mess.
I disagree, I don't think it'll be the next week.
Hey,
They
Carol,
have a place that's
we apologize, we're doing our best.
So
And
if
we're
it's our
trying to-
association,
sometimes you have to
we'll
take
put
3
gravel in it,
steps
we don't have to pay for
backwards
it.
to go 3 steps forward. So
Pardon?
that's what sometimes you have to take a step back to go forward.
No, sometimes
And
you
we're
have to
working
respect
really
people's
hard to improve
property.
a roadway.
That's what I was taught.
To make,
Respect people's
we've all
property.
been running 129th 5 years, and it's been a mess. And you know what? Yes, this is horrible that this happened, but the big picture is what we must think about. We're gonna have a smooth road to get to US 41. It's gonna be safer, people won't be swerving. We'll fix the flowers, we'll fix the grass.
Well, I'll
It's not
go to
something of
association and then,
urgency and
you
importance.
own that, you take care of it, they should charge us less. You really own that. How come when we do call your office, I know the neighbors say it too, you never call anybody back? Or your secretary used to say, I don't know who owns that, you said, well, could you find out? I don't know. This is the second secretary, the first one would hang up on people. Is this a newer one now?
Yeah.
Because now her attitude's kind of like the first one. So, I guess we have to look at, I have a one-way street sign when I look out my patio door. You know, I just trimmed all my evergreens because I don't like the way the association people they hired, a lot of us do our own. I look out, I see a bent-up one-way street sign for 2 months now. I see sandbags. I look out, it looks like a ghetto. Looks like I did when I lived in South Chicago.
Hey, Carol, I think
You think
there's,
that's okay, then that's okay.
I think there's a great lesson to learn here, like when we're planning future road projects that are connected to subdivisions or in subdivisions, that we need to really consider where we set some of these, where our construction crews set some of these barricades.
You don't need to set it there when you get property right across the street. And you know what, if I were a construction guy making 80 an hour like my husband did, I wouldn't mind lifting the sandbag. They got the equipment to do it. But when you call this guy's office, you get a runaround. I'm sorry, for 4 years, that's how I felt. Got a street light fixed on Griselli, took like 2 years. Okay, and it could
We
be
got it,
broken.
though.
Pardon?
We got it.
Oh, we got it, but it took 2 years of no light on the corners and a roundabout. I mean, your reasoning, Mr. Kubiak's kind of different. We got it, took 5 years, but we got it.
Yeah.
The street sign on
And again,
129th, we
man,
got
we're
it
doing the
for
best
3
I don't
years.
know if
Yeah,
you've
man.
seen the results from the census, but there's 15,000 people in this town, you're one.
Well, maybe you need more help, maybe don't give them a raise, give them more people.
Your request for him to not have a raise is noted. Thank you for that.
I won't get the citizens award, but, I mean, when you have a
We got
street
two
light out,
Still will.
you know, the thing will happen when somebody sues. When somebody's going around that curve and there's no light, and my kids or somebody gets hurt, and I've reported to him 2 years ago, it's not good enough that he fixed it in 2 years. It's really strange in Monastery Woods, because I found out there's no number on the light post like everywhere else, okay, NIPSCO. So I call NIPSCO, she has to look up a map, this is like many calls. And she says, well, you know what, the way McFarland set it up, the
that's
town takes care of the lights.
That's a town-owned light, though, that's not a NIPSCO light, so.
Right,
Yeah,
why would
the
lights in the subdivision be the town's, why wouldn't they be NIPSCO? Okay, so then you call Kubiak's office, so they're gonna fix the light. They don't, so then you find out that it was electrical wiring, so that took you 2 years to find that out, right?
No.
The wiring.
We did have it, it was working for a short time, and there was a wire shorting out,
Yeah, but it took 2 years.
which
No,
needed
it's
a
like, hey,
little bit.
intermittent problems are hard.
We got it, we got it 2 years later. Now, he's got that barricade on the sidewalk, not on the grass anymore. Now, if somebody comes down on that sidewalk and they fall, they can't sue the town? Who's the lawyer here? I would think you can. Or the sandbags that are leaking that are they're not even in the median, you know? I mean, because you own the median now, so you're the guy we're gonna go after, aren't we? You can't go after the association, you say you own it, right?
Yeah,
I don't
I don't know
understand.
if the town owns it.
The town owns it. Well, the town would be liable, wouldn't they? I'm not a lawyer, but I think the town would be liable. Because this barricade is like this, with the big ones for light sign.
Mister, I think they're gonna fix it for you, but anybody can get sued at any time for any point, so that's irrelevant.
Well, you know what?
They list everybody in lawsuits anyway, so that's irrelevant.
but
But let me,
prevent
no, you gotta stop. They are trying to fix it for you. They are.
They're not,
They
just been there
they
for
are.
2 months
They
and
are.
calling you
They're
for 2
fixing it for
months.
you, he's gonna fix it for you tomorrow. But we can't keep talking about the same thing.
Okay, are you gonna remove it tomorrow, all this stuff?
I said, if this project's gonna be done, I said by next week that stuff will be done.
I will bet you $100 it won't be done by
No
next week.
betting.
Okay, I'll bet them.
I'll bet.
No, because they come for 2 hours and they leave,
Carol?
and then they'll go 4 days and no one's there.
With all due respect,
Okay.
do you have any other information that you're sharing with us?
No, I don't, it's just
Okay.
disappointing. It's
Thank you.
disappointing for the taxes you
Thank
pay
you.
and the association fees, that for 2 months you look out and you're looking at a one-way broken sign and sandbags. Doesn't seem right.
Well,
But I didn't know you
I'm
owned
happy to see you again here tonight. It's been a while, so thank you for coming.
All right, thanks.
It's good to see you. Thank you, Carol. Any other public comment?
Yes.
Hold on one second, Lucy. Can I go to Chuck real quick?
Sure.
I see you kind of fired up there, Lucy, so I want to give you ample time, so.
Oh,
Chuck Becker, 6100 West 136 Lake Cedar Lake. I've been contacted, I live in Robin's Nest, and keep having issues with people because we have a one-way in, one-way out, and people keep coming in the wrong way, or they're leaving out the wrong way. And there's one sign, when you're leaving out, where the crossover street where they're supposed to cut over, but it's just a little black and white sign. It says, you know, wrong way or something like that. I was wondering, could we get something like that, beginning...
Show the guy who's in charge of signs.
Is there any way to, just to change that?
I mean,
Well, the one you could probably put this one, well,
Yeah.
no, there's,
Why do a crossover at all? Just because it's quicker?
yeah, because, you got Cardinal
Yeah.
on going out, and then you got, you know, Robin coming in.
Right.
That tree
So you
kind
have
of
to-
blocks that one sign that is there.
Yeah.
Right, and then you gotta cut over to get on Cardinal.
Right, but I'm just wondering if we could eliminate that cutover and just have you come in this way, and go, then have to go too far around.
Yeah, that's too
Like,
far
I
around.
just don't like coming
It's
in.
one
with
whole
an ambulance
mile.
Or a fire truck and have to make that hard cut and then hard cut back. Although we'll just drive the wrong way, it doesn't matter.
Well,
We'll put one of them, we'll get one of
the only
them.
time you really have to cut over is when
Yeah.
you're exiting.
Right, come on, yeah.
Get something. What'd you say, Tim?
We'll get, that's a good idea to put one of them, try
That is a
it.
good idea.
Like the big red one, you know,
Yep.
on, Robin exiting.
Going out, right, going
And then-
north.
Right, when you're going north on Robin, right before, or right after the cutoff. And then when you're on the opposite side of 133rd.
Cardinal going
and
south,
Cardinal.
Robin going north.
Correct. That's all.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thanks.
Or should we call you Paulie Canerco?
Lucy?
okay. First, I want to know, why did they put all the blacktop that they dug out of 129th and put it in Kiwanis Park?
For parking lot.
There was a parking lot there. Why
Mr.
did they do
Kubiac,
that?
can you answer that question, please?
We increased the size of the parking lot.
Why? We don't have a playground there yet, or we
So
don't have
when we
a...
do have a playground there, we'll have a place to park. I mean, essentially, it's just, we're just trying to plan
Get
for,
rid of the stuff from 129th to our park? All that garbage?
it's not garbage, it's base for a parking lot.
But there already is a base in that parking lot. Then you dug up the soil in the middle of the park, parts of it, with that tractor, and you dumped blacktop in the hole, and then you covered it with the soil again? I don't understand that. Why are you trying to hide all that blacktop in under the ground?
The base.
Base for what?
It's a base for the parking lot.
No, this is further in off the parking lot. You gonna make the parking lot bigger? Are you making it bigger for the soccer field in the campground? Because a
The
lot of...
campground's private property, they can't do anything for that.
It's a dog park.
Right.
We don't need a dog park. We need a basketball. We need, swings. we need, tennis courts, all right. Let me tell you about, I went to Crown Point and I went to Bridgeport Park on Monitor and Grant. They've got the most beautiful little park there, and that's, they've got 2 tennis courts where you could use for wiffle ball, volleyball, tennis, and then old people play wiffle ball, so, you know, I mean, you got to include the old people, the young people, and there was about 30 kids playing in that park that day I went there. Little kids on the swings, other kids were with the basketball, and then there was a whole bunch of boys playing with those batting balls in the tennis court area. And then they had a nice picnic table there, and then they had a great big green park that's undeveloped yet in that park. So if you people on your park commission or wherever you are, who are you? Who's the people? You? Yep. And you? Yep. And you. So 1, 2, 3. Anybody else? Who else is on there?
Yep,
that's it,
Ma'am,
just the 3 of us.
only 3. If you have more than 3 council members on a commission or committee, you break state law.
Oh, well, you have to have a public on there, huh?
Has to be a public meeting with more than,
You have to have somebody in the public on your committee, right?
we do.
Well, should I be on your committee
Yes.
You should apply.
before I die?
You
I
got
really
plenty of
don't
time.
have the time. I got a son, a 58-year-old son in Methodist for 3 weeks now. He was in every hospital, in 6 hospitals in Illinois to here. He's coming home to me.
Amen.
He had a stroke. Now he's got kidney disease from being obese. I'm not gonna go into all of this stuff, but
Lucy,
I got too much on my plate.
We're
I
sorry.
understand your emotion.
Father John, can you remember her son in our prayers tomorrow?
Absolutely.
I think you do that.
Thank you very much. Because, I don't know when I go to the hospital in the afternoon if he's gonna be alive when I come back, because they can't figure out his disease. They got all these bags of urine.
Lucy, you should come down here if you're up early, 9:30. Every Wednesday we do prayer and pledge every Wednesday morning in front of the town hall. So you come down and
I do my praying. I do my praying in the morning when
Well,
I
that's
get up.
fine. We do it in the morning
I
too.
don't have time. I got too much work. I gotta cut my grass. I gotta trim my bushes. I gotta paint.
That's
Just so you know,
Now my air conditioning unit went out.
I'm sorry.
Everything's gone. I had Home Depot put in windows for me that worked. 3 of them don't work. I got the whole world falling in on me, so, I mean, I shouldn't be here.
just so you know, each one of those loads of what you call scrap from the old roads, each one of those loads dumped there saves the town $450 for a load of stone that would need to go in there to do that. It's really
How
a
much
great,
money is in the park board?
it's really a great
How much
money
money do you
saving.
still have in the park?
What's our balance of
What's your balance that they
our
have
park impact
from
fee?
parks?
Do we know?
You have money in the
About
park?
$1 million.
Yes, we do.
About $1 million.
About $1 million? And you can't put in Kiwanis Park?
We're trying. We're getting it prepped.
You know, I really wanted to move out of town, but now that everything is falling down, I mean,
Lucy?
I can't compete with all you people because you don't take care of what you got. I'm trying to take care of what I got and I can't.
We appreciate your passion for the community and appreciate you coming here tonight. Take a deep
$1
breath.
million you have and you can't even put in a swing. All these people that live in Creek, there for 20 years,
Winding Creek.
they don't have a park, and there's millions of kids in there. There's a lot of little kids. In fact,
But there is a Jane Ball School right next door that they play on.
I see they do go over there to play. But I'm talking about, that's a long way for the little kids to go.
Lucy, can I move to the next person in public
Go
comment?
to the
please?
next person because
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I'm just upset that nobody cares
Joe?
about anything.
Do you know if her son's there?
You guys are all for the profit, you know, politics.
Second place. I had approached you earlier last month about the picnic tables,
And so I would like to ask the town council, you know, the Summerfest has helped at the grounds before. What we would like to do is to commit to raising the funds and getting those 20 tables done, 5 would be ADA. And, I know you might not be able to vote on it tonight, but I want to plant that seed that we're willing to do that because of upcoming events, like you have another event coming up. The need for those tables are definitely a need. But more importantly, more concerned about the people with disabilities that can't use those tables. So there would be 5 ADA tables and then 15 regular tables.
Rick, can you maybe get Margaret on this or something that, work with Mary Joan on this picnic table project so we have an item for consideration? It's a worthwhile project.
It's very, they don't.
Yep. It's very good. Kevin, you have public comment? Hop on up here.
Kevin's old, 972 West 129. I was just wanted to mention, you know, with the new pier you guys put up at the museum and all that stuff, and I know you've got it posted for no fishing. I'm a fisherman, and I'm just saying that I would like to see you guys open it for fishing. And I understand maybe between June 1st and Labor Day, maybe it would be closed to fishing because you got the boaters and the swimmers, but who's going to be on that pier from September, October until it comes out of the water? Why not let people...
Well, I'm hoping it's out of the water by October so it doesn't get damaged.
Well, but I mean...
What is the reason for the sign?
And when you're going to put it...
We don't want any fishing because of lures getting out there, fishing lines getting out there, kids swimming on both sides, boats coming in and out of the pier. There should be no fishing out there. It's not, was not meant for fishing.
Gotcha.
Maybe we should work
That's not
on
supposed to be
fishing.
the belief.
Well, that's really used for the people in town, right? So people on boats and people swimming and stuff can use it, and I'm just saying fishermen want to use it too. If a guy wants to take his grandkids out to fish or something, why can't you go sit on the pier and fish?
Where do people fish right now, like public access?
Usually up by the...
Public access, they fish in Bartlett Wahlberg, they take boats out, they fish along the boardwalk. But we didn't want all of the tackle and all the gear up on the pier. We wanted to keep that away
Times
from
when there's not, when the summertime stuff is over with, what's the problem? I mean, when are you gonna put it in the water? You're gonna put it in the water probably before...
Till the 1st of May, probably.
Okay, so I mean, the 1st of May, you're not gonna have anybody out there until June, basically. People don't, you know what I mean? What's the deal? I mean, I'm just saying, they let people use it if they want to. I mean, you're not talking about a ton of people, there's gonna be a few people that are gonna go out there. Why
That's not true, sir. If it gets opened up to fishing, then there will be a ton of people out there. That's why Pinecrest had to stop all the fishermen off of his little area over there, so
But that's
they
what
will.
it's there for, is for the people in the community to use.
Right.
Right, and that is one of the longest, or the way, or part of this place, is to get out of the lake too and get into some deeper water and get away from the shorelines too, where it's only a foot deep. I'm just saying, that, you know, let everybody use it. That's all I got.
Thanks, Kevin.
I do think, Bill, that we need a ladder.
They don't want a ladder.
People are jumping up in their...
Well, that's the reason there's no jumping off the pier. We're trying to keep
No, they're
kids from
jumping
getting...
on it. They're in the water swimming.
I respect that, but we don't want them jumping on the pier from the water. That's why we have the signage
We
on
have a
there.
ladder, so they can get out of the water safely.
I think, Jill, you're concerned
And
with
get in the
that
water.
ladders get slimy, people slide and fall. We
We're
had
already-
that discussion.
Yeah.
We're already on the hook.
ADA requirements, a slimy ladder.
Yeah, that's
Really?
You need one of those.
I'm not even
What does our
joking.
country become, man?
I'm not even
Fish, you can't have
joking.
ladders to get in the lake? Cracking me
One
up.
more quick comment. I was out there for a week when the museum was doing boat rides, and there were kids swimming and jumping off that
Oh,
pier
yeah, they're not
continuously the whole week when we were
I
out
know.
there.
They
Okay,
are.
so nobody's stopping them, so the signs aren't
Well,
stopping
maybe
them.
we'll probably have to hire somebody to do that then too. We try to stop them, but
No, I know, I'm just saying, they are using it.
that's why the signage is put up there. That's why I put a new camera up there.
Thank you, Kevin.
We've already got damage on those lights that's up there now because of kids jumping off the pier.
I agree
So
with you.
we're trying to maintain it nicely. That's
Chief.
why we didn't want the rest of the stuff.
Any other public comment?
I ask a question about this go-kart. Do they have seatbelts on them?
No.
No. So
Golf
how
cart?
can you, I mean, if we ever get somebody in a go-kart, we would kill them, right? I mean, the odds are they'll never be the same. So how can they even be allowed on the street? They come, this monastery with some of the other monastery, which they got kids hanging off of them, no seatbelts, no nothing. And if that's allowed then?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They got locked out. I mean, they have no seatbelts, and they have, you know, and they can ride around like that?
In the neighborhoods, they can ride around. It shouldn't be hanging off it and stuff. but-
No.
They're like hanging off the back, and everything else.
On 129th, there's a group of them that
Yeah.
pile 6 or 8 kids on it.
Yeah, dog,
They
they're
are.
cats hanging off it.
Right.
If somebody ever hit them, they're nobody's seatbelted even, of course, that thing would tip over.
Carol, you'll never catch me riding a golf cart on the street or a motorcycle, because I don't want to donate my organs before I have to.
No, but you might lose everything you have if you hit one of them.
Yeah, I'm not interested in either one of
But
those.
why do we allow them to even be on the street? I don't.
If you change your mind, I know a guy that has funny.
Yeah, I know a guy with motorcycles too, so. okay. Any other public comment? Father John, join the party.
Absolutely. Priest and a microphone, what could go wrong?
They made you laugh.
Fantastic. Father Senior John Kowalczyk, 10717 West 134th Place, Cedar Lake, Indiana. Two things. One, deeply appreciate all of the American flags and Indiana state flags up and down 133rd Morris Lakeshore, whatever part of the road it is called. The unfortunate part is the maintenance thereof. Before the 4th of July, I counted 23 flags, United States flags, I didn't count the Indiana flags, that were either torn, caught up in the wires, there was a half of a flag. So if we are going to put them up, and I think we should, I believe we also to have a maintenance program to make sure that they meet the United States Code of Flying the Flag, in due respect to all those who have served, will serve, and gave the ultimate price for us to fly that flag. Number two, in the same vein, a number of smaller towns have banners on their utility poles of servicemen, past, present.
It's actually being worked on in the redevelopment commission as we speak.
I end my discussion.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah.
Remember that picture I texted you, Julie, a couple weeks ago?
There's a banner
Dyersville,
program
Iowa.
in the last couple of months in RDC meetings that they've been working on finalizing the details.
Dyersville, Iowa's got it, or some little town right by it.
Yeah, you see them a lot of places, they're really nice, yeah, really nice. Honoring the individuals who have, some gave all and all gave some, right?
Yeah. Correct, sir.
Any other public comment? Okay, public comment is closed. Our next town council public meeting will be Tuesday, September 7th, 2021, at 7 p.m. This meeting's adjourned.